Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin? After you, Junior.
Man, I love that intro. That intro fucking is awesome. It's so good. Music's great. Clips are great. Thank you, Kaleb Koho, for that. Welcome to Logged It, episode number 12. Today we're talking about music biopics. Well, Spence is a little late. Spence will be here. They'll be here shortly. But to start off, hello, I'm Tim Brzakala. Thank you for being here. We've got Kaleb Boatman here. Kaleb, welcome. How are you?
I'm always here. I'm doing all right. Doing okay, making it through.
All righty then. Well, high energy from Kaleb Boatman today. We also have Payson Johnson here. Payson, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We had rain last night, so now today it's a brisk 95 here in Arizona. So I'm doing pretty nice, and I'm very happy to talk about some movies with you two.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain in Wisconsin the last few days. It was kind of brutal, not going to lie. There's been flash flooding and craziness. But today was good. Today was 80, 85, not bad. But we're going to start off the show the way we always start off the show, which is talking about our favorite movie that we logged this week. Boatman, why don't we start with you today if you got something ready?
Yeah, I've got something ready. This was not a great week in terms of movie watching for me. This was actually kind of a weaker week. But I guess I have one. I enjoyed the heck out of the Suicide Squad. I get it. Is it a movie I would say is for everyone? Absolutely not. Is it a movie I would say was absolutely for me? Yes. This was the type of weird, interesting comic book movie I didn't really think would get made. I just find this film so fascinating in how shamelessly comic booky it is, but also absolutely subversive to comic book tropes it is. It's really interesting in that regard. Love the cast. My favorite character is easily Polka Dot Man, David Dastmalchian. Fantastic. But yeah, I thought this film was super interesting, super well done. And I think compared to the original Suicide Squad, I would say this film made you feel the purpose of the Suicide Squad more than the other.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I saw it too. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I saw it twice. Don't need to get into spoilers or anything because it's so new, but I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad as well. Saw it in the theater on Thursday night, and then watched it again at home because we got rained in. So we were going to go see it in the theater again, but watched it at home, and it's a lot of fun. I think it is probably the best Worlds of DC movie, which isn't saying a lot, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought the cast was really good. I agree with Boatman. You actually kind of get why you get the team more in this than you do in the other one. King Shark needs to be protected at all costs. We must protect him. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. I thought the whole cast was really, really well done. I really liked, obviously, like I said, King Shark, and also Ratcatcher 2, I thought was really good. I thought she was fantastic. So yeah, I'm excited to watch it again. I'll probably give it some time now at this point since, I've seen it twice already. I'll wait it out a little bit longer. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Payson, did you go see this?
Yeah, I saw it Friday night. I saw it in theaters. If something's in theaters, if I have the option, I usually like to go see it in theaters. I loved it. I thought this movie was insane. I thought it was super funny. I love the look of it. This is when someone says comic book movie, this is what I kind of envision in a way. And I think it looked really well without being annoying, how I thought the first Suicide Squad kind of looked. This one felt much more fresh. I love the team dynamic. I think Ratcatcher 2 probably was my favorite character at the end. No spoilers, but I also love King Shark and Bloodsport. I think James Gunn just hit it out of the park with this, and I would also agree this is my favorite Worlds of DC film.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't get over a lot of the costume design. I thought was like really good. Bloodsport's costume was fucking cool.
Really
like that helmet was just like awesome. I really dug it. But yeah, overall, Suicide Squad, I think everybody's mostly on the same page. Cody was kind of meh on it, and Andrew Barr's an old man, but you know, we do what we can. Okay, Payson, why don't you tell us what your favorite movie log this week was?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a brilliant man in this community. His name is one Kaleb Koho, and he does this sort of thing where he gives us years, and he has us make our own Oscar ballot. And 2010 was the year we're doing this month, and I had never seen The Town, so I decided to watch The Town this week. I loved this movie. Really cool heist movie. Heist movies obviously are a ton of fun. I think this one does it in a very unique way where you don't really get to see the setup of it, but it's still just as satisfying because it's a much more like character piece. I really love movies where like the setting is honestly a character of its own. I think Boston is such a heavy piece of this movie of like it couldn't work in any other city, if I'm being honest. And I think Ben Affleck directed the heck out of this movie. I think Jeremy Renner did a fantastic job. I shockingly buy the relationship between Rebecca Hall and Ben Affleck. At first I was like, is this going to work? But for me it did. No, I love The Town.
Yeah, The Town is great. I really like the first thank you for so we did something. I don't know what that means. I really like The Town and Ben Affleck as an actor and a director. I didn't love Live by Night, but everything else he's directed I liked, especially Argo and this. Yeah, it's really, really good. I haven't seen it in a while. I own the director's cut, but funnily enough, haven't watched the director's cut. It's like a 2-disc has both of them. So I know the theatrical cut is like, I think it's like a clean 2 hours or so. Like
it's around there. Yeah.
125. And the director's cut is like 2.5 hours. Like it adds like 30 minutes to the movie. So I would like to sit down and watch that because I do enjoy this movie quite a bit. This is the first time I remember John Hamm. And maybe it's just because it was like, I saw this like before I got like really, really into movies. And I was just like, I like him. I know who I like him. And then when I saw him pop up in other things, I'm like, yes, John Hamm from The Town. And everyone else was like, no, Mad Men. Boatman, The Town. What do you think?
I really dig The Town. I did not see The Town till this year. Town is great. It's very much like it is a very, I don't want to say a bare bones heist movie, but it's not an overly complicated heist movie. It's very much a smash and grab style of heist movie, which don't always work for me, but this one does mainly because of Affleck and Renner in particular. I think Renner is so essential to the success of this film. I think if you don't buy his character, you don't buy the movie. And he is absolutely what this movie lives and dies on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's move on. I like Boatman. It was a light week. I think I got a movie a day, but when I usually pull like 4 a day, it was a light week. So I got a couple rewatches in that I do want to mention. I rewatched Pig again, which I talked about a couple weeks ago.
Great movie.
I talked about it a couple weeks ago as my favorite. I upped it. It's not my favorite movie of the year. I decided it's so good. But the one that I do want to talk about is the first time viewing. I finally did my boy proud and watched Defending Your Life.
Yes!
Let's go.
I love you, Tim.
It was really, really good. And honestly, like I could see it going up upon rewatch. But I kind of knew the general idea of it just from talking to Boatman and him praising it for so long. But I really enjoyed it. I loved the relationship between Brooks and Streep. I really, really bought into that. There's a lot of movies where you get like they fall in love after knowing each other for a day, like type thing. But like, I actually kind of bought it in this one. I liked the rules that were set up for this like afterlife scenario. And honestly, I haven't seen a ton of Albert Brooks, but what I have seen of him, I thought this was his best acting that I had seen. I thought he was really, really good in the movie, especially towards the end of the movie. I thought the final scene of the movie was really, really great. And there's just a lot of laughs to be had. And I don't know. It just like was an all around, like it had everything. It had the drama. It had the laughs. It had the emotional moments. Like I thought it was really, really great. Rip Torn was also really, really great in the movie. Thought he was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally got to watch it because I'd been wanting to for a while, and then that Criterion sale came up, and so picked that up for a ye old Boatman, and I finally watched it, and I really liked it. So, Boatman, we will go to you.
Yeah, I actually have a follow-up question for you, Tim. Tim, have you seen Broadcast News?
Yes.
That's actually really interesting to me that you like his performance in this more than Broadcast News.
Granted, Broadcast News to me was like straight, like the moment it was over, I was like, 5 out of 5, like perfect. But like it was much more of like, I think like I was focused on like the trio and everything. This was just like all on his shoulders for the most part. But I like Broadcast News as a movie more than.
That's fair. I'm kind of in the inverse of you in that I like Defending Your Life more as a movie, but I think that's Brooks' best performance as an actor is in Broadcast News.
I need to rewatch.
But no second place here, all silver and gold. At the end of the day, I think that Broadcast News Defending Your Life. I think that Defending Your Life is like just legitimately one of the most like clever comedies.
So good.
Ever. It's such a smart movie, and I love all of the different pieces of this world. I love that the afterlife in this looks like just a chain of hotels, but the imagination that was put into like the restaurants and the past lives pavilion and all these things of like what would just be amazing. So brilliant. The man who steals this movie is Rip Torn. Rip Torn is fantastic in every single scene he is in because of how not tethered to reality his character is. Like, he could have been this boring exposition machine, but he plays it so much like a person who is not tethered to reality and so fearless that it works so well, especially when contrasted with Albert Brooks, who is maybe the actor who plays nervousness better than anyone.
Yeah, Payson, what about you?
So just like you, Tim, I watched Defending Your Life for the first year, mainly due to this motherfucker's recommendation. And I also really, really love this movie. It's such a cool concept for a movie. One of my favorite touches is that half the people in Judgment City are just elderly, mainly because most of them are there because they died of old age. And I just love the whole rules of if they deem you that you're worthy, you go up to heaven. If not, you don't go to hell. You just go again. And it's like, oh man, that kind of sounds borderline almost as bad. But I love what was I getting? Oh my gosh, I completely lost my train. But yeah, with both this and Broadcast News, I can honestly say Albert Brooks is becoming one of my favorite director, and one of my favorite actors, and it makes me really want to watch Modern Romance because I've even heard Albert Brooks say that that's what most Albert Brooks fans say is his best movie. But no, I love Defending Your Life so much.
His best performance in a film in which he directed is what
understandable.
His Modern Romance is his best performance in a movie directed by him.
Mm-hmm.
His best performance is still Broadcast News.
Broadcast news.
Yeah, but it's out on Criterion now, but I think it's also streaming on Amazon Prime. I could be wrong about that, but I Googled it quick. So I would assume that's Chris Diaz in the chat. Okay, so we'll move on to our least favorite movie that we logged this week. We will start off with Boatman. Boatman, what was your least favorite movie you logged this week?
Okay, so I've been going through some. I'm trying to round out Best Picture winners soon. Have watched all of them just so that I can say I've watched all of them. And there are some awful ones. Right now. I'm in the rough. I'm in the 30s. Which there are some great ones in the 30s. Cimarron is not one of the great ones. Cimarron is. So it's not a bad movie. Let me rephrase. It is a bad movie. It's not a bad idea, right? It's a general Western, right? Problem is, this was made in the 30s. And it's a Western. And there are minority characters in this movie. Now, what do you think white filmmakers in the 1930s did with those characters? If you think that it was a respectful and very progressive portrayal, don't watch this movie. If you think that's what you're gonna get. I knew very little about it, and the movie made me very uncomfortable. So yeah.
I have not seen it. I've obviously heard of it. But I've never seen it. Don't really have a desire to see it. Payson, have you seen it?
I have not. I believe, Boatman, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first Western to have won Best Picture?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much all I know about it. But your recommendation was not glowing, so one day I'll get to it.
Recommendation, but fair.
Yeah, I was going to say his recommendation was non-existent.
Okay, understood.
All right, Payson, what about you? Your least favorite movie you logged this week?
Yeah, so one of probably my favorite movie I've seen this year is The Green Knight. I absolutely adored that film, loved it on so many levels, and it kind of got me into a kick where I kind of wanted to watch more medieval, fantasy movies like that. So I watched Antoine Fuqua's King Arthur. Have you guys seen this movie?
Yeah.
It is not good at all. Essentially what Antoine Fuqua did, he was like, I'm going to take King Arthur, but I'm going to take all the fantasy elements out of it and just make a historical film. This movie is boring. This movie is lifeless. Clive Owen, Keira Knightley, they're fine. Ian Gruff is actually pretty good. I'll give the movie that. And the score is pretty okay. The lighting is so gray. It just feels bleak. And just after I finished watching the movie, I was this is just empty. And it just didn't really leave you with anything. Antoine Fuqua, he's made some films I really like, but I don't think he's ever made an amazing film. But this is probably the worst one I've seen from him. So yeah, I was not a fan of this movie at all.
Yeah, I saw this a long while ago, probably in middle school. So it's been a long time, but I remember not liking it. It's got a really good cast too. You named some of them: Clive Owen, Keira Knightley, Mads Mikkelsen's in it, Joel Edgerton's in it too. Ray Winstone, Stellan Skarsgård, Ray Stevenson. There's a lot of people in this movie. Ken Stott is in this movie, who guys, he's balling. So he's awesome.
I actually have a tattoo of his name on my back left shoulder.
That doesn't surprise me, man.
Yeah.
I remember not liking it. I wouldn't say that I am a huge Anton Fuqua fan. But I find his movies entertaining.
Yeah.
I liked Training Day, but more of his more recent stuff. I enjoyed Southpaw and the Equalizer movies, and I liked Olympus Has Fallen. I thought that was a lot of fun, the first one. So I think he can make entertaining movies, but yeah, this one was rough, if I remember. And it also came out right around the same time as Ridley Scott's
Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven, and I always got the two of them confused, even though they're like not very similar in like their story at all. But anyway, Boatman, have you seen this?
I have not had the misfortune of watching this film. I've heard it's bad. That's about all I know.
You can skip it.
I'd rather watch it over the Legend of the Sword one. So I give Chris.
Where does Excalibur rank in that, and where does the Sword in the Stone rank?
Sword in the Stone is last. Okay. Spence is here.
Hi.
Spence missed favorite movie. So now, Spence, you can tell us your least favorite movie you loved this week.
I didn't really watch any bad movies this week, so I can keep it short. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is just fine. It's 3.5. Like, it's just like it's the worst of the trilogy. I don't have any like massive issues with it. I just think it's not as good as the other ones. I think having the whole film basically just be about the romance is just underwhelming. I don't have a lot of words for it.
I love this movie. I agree with Spence. It's I wouldn't say the worst of the trilogy. I would say it's the weakest, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. I think all three are great. But I get it. If you have a week where you haven't watched a lot of bad movies, you got to pick one. Yeah. That's kind of what my pick is going to be like. Boatman, Hidden World.
Hidden World is the weakest of the three. I think the comedy really doesn't work in it. Everything else is great. The final emotional moment at the end works. I think that the movie as a whole is good. Not great, but good. Solid. In a year of great animated movies that was 2019,
Payson, what about you?
Yeah, I've seen How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World once. I agree that it is the weakest of the trilogy, but I do remember really liking it at the time. It's still, honestly, like mid to upper tier DreamWorks for me, but that's just me.
All right. I got a lot of good grace with Boatman for my last pick for my favorite movie of the week. So now I'm about to break his.
I know what it is.
So again, I didn't hate this movie, but I watched The Odd Couple last night.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was going to be.
What do you think it was going to be?
That was going to be Alice in Wonderland.
No. What?
Did you just watch that?
Like 2 months ago.
Oh, I think somebody just watched that. Like
I did. I gave it 4 stars. That's great.
Oh.
No, I watched The Odd Couple last night. I had never seen it before. I've been wanting to watch it. Boatman actually debated this on FanZone a while ago as funniest 60s comedy. So I was like really looking forward to it. I like the cast. But it just, I don't know, didn't work for me. I think Holtzman gave it the same rating that I did, and his review on Letterboxd I couldn't agree with more. It was like, sometimes classic comedies work for me, and sometimes they don't. And this one just didn't. I thought Lemon was fantastic. The more and more I watch, granted, I'm only at 3 movies, but the more and more I watch of Jack Lemmon, the more and more I like Jack Lemmon. I think he's really, really great. But I didn't find myself laughing all that much. I cared about the characters and the situations and whatnot, but I didn't find it all that funny. So, good movie. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. But considering the hype it had gotten from Boatman, Cody, I know a lot of other people really enjoy the film. I did not love it. So, Boatman, tell me why I'm wrong.
I think that at the end of the day, you're not wrong if you don't find a comedy funny. Like, if you don't find something funny, you're not like wrong for not finding it funny. At the same time, you're an idiot. Because I think that I'm kidding. But I think that like here's the thing. I don't like to assume why someone doesn't like something. I could maybe perceive the reason as being that this is, I feel like, a film that has been stolen from again and again. That I feel like it's potential that, like, that's why maybe some of the jokes just don't feel as fresh because I think this is a film that it's definitely a scenario that has been done to death, but at the time it wasn't. I think there are no two actors that are just able to perfectly play those two characters more than Lemon and Mathau. There's a reason they did so many movies together, because they know how to push each other's buttons so well, both on screen and off. Lemon, I think maybe just the funniest thing in this movie to me is Jack Lemmon getting so upset over that is not a spoon, that is a ladle. Like, he's just so on edge. And then when Mathau just breaks down crying, it's one of the funniest things in the movie, because for the most part he's very, like, he never seems hurt. He seems angry. He never seems hurt. But when he just breaks down crying, it's amazing. I love The Odd Couple.
One other thing I want to add, too, is that we talked about this last week, and we'll talk about it more later today with the movie of the month. But I talked about how with Glengarry Glen Ross, I could tell it was a movie based on a play because of the locations and the way that the movie was set up and everything. But how that didn't bother me with Glengarry Glen Ross, I really felt that in The Odd Couple. It was one of those things that was a detraction for me. But anyway, Payson, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when I used to play on my on my PS3. My dad would walk in and be like, "Oh, Payson, you're playing on your MP3 player," and I'd be like, "It's not an MP3 player, it's a PS3." So I very much relate to Jack Lemmon in that scene. But no, I really enjoy The Odd Couple. I wouldn't say it's my favorite 60s comedy, but I do think it has got to be up there. The scene where Walter Matthau just throws the linguine against the wall is just legendary to me. It's not spaghetti, it's linguine. I really love the movie, but if you don't like it, that's totally fine.
Spence.
Maybe I'm crazy, but like Boatman explaining the jokes in this movie made me sort of like it less. Because, like, I don't know, like, I empathize with you to an extent, Tim. Because, like, I agree, like, it's not like laugh out loud funny. I acknowledge there's jokes and like, oh yeah, this joke is funny, but it doesn't make me laugh. Like, to me, it's more of like it's a good time. And I saw it, I had my high school did a play production of it, and I really enjoyed it there. I think it's just a movie that I don't enjoy, like, that era of comedy very well, and the acting style is just like not for me. But I acknowledge it's still like a really good screenplay. And I love the characters, and I love like the entire scene, like when the two neighbor girls come over, and they're like trying to or Matthew's trying to sleep with them, and Lemon's like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I'm trying to make dinner for everyone. I'm trying to have like a party. But like I think it's a good time. I don't think it's hilarious. I don't think calling a spoon a fucking ladle is one of the best jokes ever. But like, it's fun.
All right. So that'll do it for that portion of the program. We're going to move on to what movie did we add to our watch list that we are most excited about? Boatman. We will start with you. Got something.
Movie that I added to my watch list that I am most excited about. I don't know if I had too much. Actually, okay, I've got one. This is a 1956 horror movie, which, if you know me, you know I'm not like the biggest horror guy. But this movie sounds really interesting. It's called The Bad Seed. And it is about a little girl who is like the perfect child, basically. And she may or may not also be a murderer. And I know nothing about it beyond that, besides the fact that the little girl got an Oscar nomination for being in the movie, and that's how I heard about it. I'm very intrigued.
All right. Payson, what about you?
Yeah, so I think I've finally learned how to use my watch list more, and so I've been logging a lot more movies and adding it to there. Have you guys seen Before the Devil Knows You're Dead?
Heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. I added that to my watch list this week. It is essentially, from what I've gathered, it's directed by Sidney Lumet. It's his final film, and it's a heist movie where two brothers essentially set out to rob their parents' jewelry store. And I was like, Sidney Lumet, jewelry store heist? I'm down. So yeah, I don't know
This
too much
movie
about it.
is fantastic, for the record.
I don't know too much about it except for the cast and the opening shot, which makes me want to watch the movie alone. But I am very, very excited to watch it.
All right, Spence, what about you?
Beauty and the Beast. There's a very influential French version of this that came out in, I think, like the 50s or 60s. The director of that, Jean Cocteau, did his own interpretation of the Orpheus myth, which I didn't know. So I've never seen his Beauty and the Beast, but I've seen pictures of it and just like his really clear style, and he makes the castle look amazing. And I think him translating that style to Orpheus, because like I'm a major Hades Town shill, and seeing Orpheus and Eurydice basically through his lens sounds incredible. And I don't know if I'll ever see it, but on concept, I think I'd really like it.
Yeah. All right. For me, the only thing I only added one thing to my watch list this week, and it was actually during last week's show. I believe Boatman brought up the China syndrome. That was you, Boatman. That one I added to my watch list just based on everything he said and the high ratings from him, Barr, Redshaw, Michael, all of this really high rated on Letterboxd. So I don't know much about it other than what Boatman talked about on the show last week. So I added that to my watch list. So that's my pick for that. Easy peasy. Moving on. We are moving on to our list. So we're going to move on. Our list tonight is going to be music, biopics. Let's get started. I'm going to do the Tim cliche that I like doing and pick a cliche one that I like a lot. It's recency bias. I don't really care. It's the thumbnail for the video, Rocket Man. I loved this movie. I think this movie was so much fun. Taron Egerton is great in the movie. Is it Jamie Bell, right? It's Jamie Bell. Thought was really, really great. And then it's Richard Madden, right? Is the man that he's with for most of the movie. I just thought the whole cast was great. Music is phenomenal. I actually didn't know a lot of his music, like going into it. Like I knew the hits and everything, but there were some songs in there that I didn't know that now I like quite a bit. It was also a lot of fun, just the way they did the musical, how it wasn't like a Bohemian Rhapsody where it was just you hear the music when they're at a concert or something, and that it was actually this like jukebox musical I really, really enjoyed. And again, I can't say enough good things about Taron Egerton. He's just so friggin' good in everything he's in. But I think he knocked this out of the park, and I was so disappointed that he didn't get like a ton of awards recognition for it. So I think Rocket Man's real good. Boatman, what do you think about Rocket Man?
I really like Rocket Man. Rocket Man, when I saw Rocket Man, I did not know it was a musical. I knew it was a music film, but I didn't know they did it like an actual musical. And I think that's the thing, is that so many music biopics are basic. That's just the sad truth, is that, and like usually when they're basic, people are like, oh, well, that's just the life. The life is basic, so the movie's going to be tropey. But Rocket Man is as an example of a film that has the similar beats of a biopic, but stylistically does it in a very unique way. That I'm going to bring up some other films that do this. Because I think that's the thing, is at the end of the day, it's not about what happens, it's about how it happens. And I think Rocket Man shows the how incredibly well.
Yeah. Payson, what about you?
Yeah, this was personally going to be one of my picks, and I echo everything that's been said. I think this movie is beautiful. I think it is heralded by many excellent performances. I think the thing that really works for this movie is that with its musical elements, you really feel like you are in Elton John's head. Like, this is something that, like, he imagined. I think my favorite song numbers, Crocodile Rock, I think is an incredible number in this movie. I think Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting is an incredible number. No, I think this movie is excellent, and I really wish it got more attention when it came out.
Spence?
This movie is great. However, I think like the biggest thing holding it back is what Boatman said of it is just a standard biopic. And no matter how much like its style and its tone and its songs attempt to elevate it, it can never be, like, to me, as amazing as a movie as it should be because of how restricted it is by the format. It was on my shortlist, but at the end of the day, I knew you guys were going to pick it, but I also know that I have 3, 4, 5 movies I'd prefer over it.
All right. Bowman, we'll go to you next. Your first pick.
Okay.
And don't pick what I'm going to pick next. So that's your only criteria.
I'll pick this one because it's my second pick. Because I'll leave my first pick out in the open.
No, give me your first pick.
No, I want to leave my because I feel like my first pick might be what you want. So I'm going to go for this. Let me do what I want to do.
Let Boatman be Boatman.
Appreciate that reference. Okay. I'm going to pick a film that is about one of the greatest bands of all time. Tim, am I about to do it?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. It's about one of the greatest bands of all time that is sometimes not one of the greatest bands of all time, but, like, they are so often brilliant, and they are brilliant because of one man, and that man's name is Brian Wilson.
Yes!
Love and Mercy.
Nice.
Was that the one, Tim?
No, it was not. No, that's a great pick. Great pick.
I love Love and Mercy. This is the film I don't know why more people don't talk about. And this is, again, an example of the stylistic biopic, right? You could have just told Brian Wilson's story cradle to grave, even though he's not dead, but so cradle's old. But they don't do that. The way they show both, like, him in the 60s Pet Sounds era, making one of, if not the greatest albums of all time, Pet Sounds. And, like, how kind of insane everything that went into the making of that was, where you have Paul Dano playing the younger Brian Wilson expertly. And then going back and forth between that and Brian Wilson in the 80s, where you see that he has basically been manipulated and abused by Dr. Eugene Landy, played by Paul Giamatti, who absolutely deserved an Oscar nomination for that role. Giamatti is astounding and scary and amazing in this film. Giamatti and Dano are both incredible. More people need to see this movie. Even if you don't like the Beach Boys, I think this film actually will make you like the Beach Boys, because when I saw this movie, I knew nothing about the Beach Boys. I knew they were the Surfing USA guys. Then I watched this movie, and the Beach Boys is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, I knew the Beach Boys because of Full House. Let me say.
That's the My Club Beach Boys. They don't count.
Okay. No, this movie's awesome. This is a great pick. I remember seeing this in the theater with Maggie when it came out, and not really knowing what it was, but it was the time where I still do this, but saw everything that came out. It came to our theater, and I was floored. Thought it was great. Dano's fantastic. Giamatti really is so friggin' good in this movie. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I completely forgot about it, Boatman. So great pick. I want to watch it again. I haven't seen it since theaters, so I might. Is it? I think it's streaming on Amazon. I feel like
yes, it is on Prime right now. So
yeah, so I might rewatch it because it's really good. It's been a while. Payson, have you seen this?
Hey, Bo. You know how you said that more people need to see it? I'm one of them. So yes, I have not seen it. But adding to our Beach Boys story, I know the Beach Boys because our high school choir teacher made us do Barbara Ann for our men's choir. So yeah,
nice. Spence.
I know the Beach Boys from that one lyric in Panic at the Disco's "Crazy Equals Genius."
Nice.
Nice. Just like my club, but you'll never be Brian Wilson
or Dennis Wilson as well. This is. Yeah, but like this is a great. This is my number 3, honestly. I was hoping Bo would pick it because we talk about this movie all the time about how fucking great it is. Sleeping on John Cusack as well. He's also great in that movie. Like, this is fantastic, and this is one of my go-tos of like the difference between like underrated and underseen. I think this is one of the underseen movies of the decade, where it's like, oh yeah, you think this will like this be generic like Oscar bait? Came out in like fucking March or May or something.
It was midsummer. It was in like July, August somewhere.
Oh. Like no one gave a shit about it, and it's just like this.
Golden Globes gave Dana the nomination, and that was it.
This great little gem of a movie that I think is so much smarter than it appears to be. Because again, like the idea of like this, like today's topic is one that can sort of fall into stereotypes a lot. This breaks everything, where you're able to see both like the rise and the fall at the same time, and it creates like this beautiful pairing of the two with some of the best performances of the decade. This is an amazing pick.
All right, Mason. Your first pick.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the theme going of 2015 Paul Giamatti biopics, and I'm going to pick Straight Outta Compton.
That was not what I was going to... That was my backup if someone took something else. So.
Understandable. Yeah, Straight Outta Compton, or as Cameron Holtzman likes to call it, Straight Out of Compton. Great moment if you guys have not watched the title match. So I really, really like this movie. I think this movie does such a good job of showing how all 5 of these rappers come forth, and they all have their own like individual voices that are also aligned, and they end up just making just great music and sort of like being such a huge influence to like that era of music. Obviously, I'm not like a huge expert on this. I'm not going to pretend to be, but no, I think Jason Mitchell. Obviously, some stuff has come out about him, but I think Jason Mitchell was so good as Eazy-E. I think Corey Hawkins was phenomenal as Dr. Dre, and I think Paul Giamatti was just phenomenal as I forget the manager's name, but he plays the manager of the band. So many great scenes. I love when they're just like in the hotel room, they're like doing drugs and having sex, and this guy comes over and says like, "Hey, you guys are banging my girlfriend." They're like, "Oh, we're gonna go get our guns and we might shoot you," but then they just kick her out. Yeah, I really love this movie. The Detroit concert scene, I think, is excellent. I think that's the one scene that I think everyone remembers. That and the when Ice Cube is just making his diss track towards all 4 of the members when he breaks up, and they're all just in the room just listening to it like...
That scene is so good.
And I know some people have issues with like the ending sort of turning into like a Marvel movie with like all the cameos, like, oh, here's young Snoop Dogg, here's young Tupac. But even then, I kind of like it. But yeah, I really, really like Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, as someone who does not listen to rap, hip hop, anything like that, like, does not my type of music. If a movie can get me to care about it, that's a good thing. This movie's awesome. I saw it twice in the theater, and I've watched it once at home now, and it's just so excellent across the board. All the performances are really, really great. Yeah, that concert sequence, like you were talking about, is incredible. This is another one, like The Town earlier. The Blu-ray has a director's cut that's like 3 hours long, and I've never watched it, and I want to because this is a movie that I want to enjoy more of. So I will get there, but yeah, this is a great pick. Great movie. I was surprised how much I loved it when it came out. It was probably in my top 20 of the year. Boatman, have you seen this?
I love Straight Outta Compton. I think, honestly, the best thing about this movie is it doesn't feel like a biopic. This movie does not have, like... It feels more intense and in your face than a biopic. And I think that's what the movie needed to be, because that's what NWA was. They were more intense than all the other music that was out there. And I think that's what ultimately, like, makes the film so interesting, is that, like, now NWA doesn't seem all that, like, intense, but, like, for the time, it was groundbreaking, you know? So I think that's what's really interesting about performances are all great. Yeah, I love I really like Lakeith Stanfield's one scene as Snoop Dogg, and I really hope they do. Like, honestly, I'm okay with a Snoop Dogg movie with Lakeith Stanfield. They did it with All Eyes on Me and Notorious, can do it again.
Spence.
I'm surprised resident rap god Kaleb Boatman didn't pick this.
Bust a move.
Boatman is a killer rapper. Like, this guy has so much flow, it's insane.
He needs more hustle though. So like I know I like this movie. I can't tell you a thing that fucking happens in it. I don't know why. It's been out of my head since 2014 or 2015. Just like
2015.
I don't know why. Like if I went back and watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this is a great movie. I just couldn't tell you a thing that happens in it other than Eazy-E dying. And I think that's even him. I could be wrong though. Like that's it.
All right. Spence. I never even put up Straight Outta Compton on the thing. I was distracted. My bad. Spence, your first pick.
I'm gonna have even more recency bias than you, and also sort of cheating, but not really. I'm picking from 2020 because it's really, really good. I'm gonna go with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. About 2 musician biopics technically, so I get 2 for the price of 1. This movie's fucking great. I think a lot of this film's reception was sort of caught up in the Chadwick Boseman deserves an Oscar talk, and I absolutely agree. But at the same time, it's also one of the best films from last year. That again, like yes, it's based on a play, but it doesn't really feel like it. And I love like the world built around it is just like dripping with atmosphere, and just Viola Davis as Ma Rainey also gives like this powerhouse, just like performance that is filling the movie with such life, and seeing how her niece and nephew have to go through the world. And then Chadwick comes in as like this young idealistic musician who is trying to fight everything in his way and thinks everything's gonna be working out fine, and just the tragedy, and it's fucking heartbreaking. But also like genuinely having like a really good song at its core, and even dealing with the producers who should really just be like sort of boring characters, but even their riffing is really interesting. This is a movie that's just like top to bottom filled with talent, and just one of the most interesting films from last year. I'm surprised like the talk about it has died down like it has.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this when it came out. We went and saw it in the theater, and I thought it was fine. Like, I'm probably in the minority. I thought Chadwick was great. I thought Viola was good. I don't know. It didn't hit for me. I thought the ending was phenomenal. I don't want to spoil it, but I think the performance there at the end of the movie is phenomenal. This was one of those movies though where it was 90 minutes long, and it's just kind of like a slice of life moment. But I kind of wanted more out of it. Like I would have taken, and again, it's based on a play, so you're restricted in that. But I would have liked to see more from these characters. Am I correct? I didn't even realize that this was a true story.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I didn't know that.
I was not aware either. So,
but anyway,
I
thought the movie was very good. I just like it. It's one of those that I will probably never watch again. I have no desire to ever watch this again. It didn't surprise me that the buzz died down as quick as it did. Everybody that I've talked to has said the same thing. Yeah, it's good, but look, I'm over it. But I'm glad you like it. For me, it's I didn't really go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over it. I really wanted to, because I heard so much good stuff about it. But Boatman, what do you think of Ma Rainey's?
I didn't love the movie. I liked the movie. I think this was anchored by 2 perfect performances. Not perfect, but fantastic performances. Chadwick Boseman is the one who got all the attention, and while I think he is fantastic, I think Davis completely got swept under the rug, because I think she was the best actress performance of last year. I think she was incredible in this, portraying like just the kind of dictatorial relationship that Ma Rainey had with her musicians. And I think this is maybe the best performance. That's not true. The second best performance I've seen from Davis. I'd say her best is actually still Doubt. Even though it's one scene of Doubt. I think she is fantastic. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the film.
Payson.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Boat.
Never heard that one before.
Didn't realize what I was saying until I said it. Where good movie overall, heralded by just such phenomenal performances. I think what Tim was talking about earlier with how he had an issue with The Odd Couple, with how he felt like this is very clearly based off a play, is kind of how I felt with August Wilson adaptations, where to me it is so obvious, and the filmmakers just usually don't do a ton with the cinematic elements. But I do think there is a ton of stuff to love. I think this is a great period piece. I think it really does capture the period well. I think Coleman Domingo turned in a really underrated performance as one of the band members, and I really liked where his character went. The bit where Ma Rainey wants her nephew to do like the introduction, but he can't get over it because he keeps stuttering, and they keep on saying like, "Can someone else do it?" And then they're like, and she keeps on saying, "No, we're gonna have him do it." I good movie, just heralded by such great performances by its two leads.
All right. We'll move on to my second pick. I'm between two, but ultimately, I got to be honest with myself and hope that one of you will pick the other one and just be honest with which one I like more. And frankly, I feel like this movie's gotten some like mixed feelings over every time I bring it up, people are kind of like, I like this movie a lot. It's Walk the Line. I think this movie's fantastic. I really like Mangold as a director. I haven't seen everything that he's done, but I really enjoy him, and I think this movie's great. I saw it for the first time last year, and I thought Phoenix was absolutely phenomenal in this role. Again, it falls into the pitfalls of all of these movies that we're talking about that, like Boatman brought up earlier, like a lot of biopics. A lot of these people fell into very similar issues. This movie falls into that as well. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie and the performances all the way through. And it helps quite a bit that I enjoy the music quite a bit. So, Boatman, Walk the Line.
I think Joaquin Phoenix is incredible, and had Capote not come out this year, he probably would have won. Like, if this comes out in 2006, I think Phoenix actually wins. That being said, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story has ruined this movie. I think legitimately, I can't watch this movie now without just thinking, wrong kid died, or I'm making the most of my young long life, and just all the, who else has hands? The devil. And he uses them for holding. Like, this movie has been skewered by Walk Hard, Dewey Cox story that, like, I just can't take it seriously anymore. And it's not Walk the Line's fault, but it's very tropey. And I don't think it does anything to really differentiate itself besides Phoenix's transformative performance. I think the movie is fine.
Payson.
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but when I watched it, I really liked it. I think I know the movie you're talking about, Tim, and I personally think you probably picked the correct movie out of the two. I think Joaquin Phoenix is phenomenal in this movie. It's probably top 5 favorite performances from him. I do think the Oscar went to the right actor in Philip Seymour Hoffman, but Joaquin Phoenix is so good in this movie. I just love Johnny Cash just as an artist, so I think this movie does a really good job at capturing. And hey, Joaquin Phoenix sang all his lines, sang his own vocals, and I think it honestly worked very well.
I'm interested to know what you think the other one they're not similar films. So
Never mind.
I'm very scared as to knowing. Spence, Walk the Line.
I mean, yeah, Phoenix is great. Reese is great. Rest is fine. I haven't seen this since I was like 11, maybe. It just doesn't stick with me. It's just, I'm probably going to revisit it eventually. It's just, nothing is like bringing me back to it.
All right, Bowman, what's your next pick?
This is tough. Do I go with my actual pick, or do I? Okay, I will then. because they're not going to pick my other pick, which makes me sad.
Well, then do what you want.
No,
I would, I just haven't seen it, and
I'll go. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go with the under the radar pick that more people need to see. I'm going with I'm Not There. I'm Not There is a very different kind of biopic. It is the story of Bob Dylan's life, but also absolutely not the story of Bob Dylan's life. It shows his life in all. None of these characters are named Bob Dylan, but they are all meant to represent the different eras and personas of Bob Dylan. Everyone in this movie is fantastic, but in particular, the two people who kill it are Christian Bale, who, if they did an actual Bob Dylan biopic instead of this, should have played him, because Bale absolutely embodies like the folk era Bob Dylan. But the best performance is Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett also plays a Bob Dylan. She plays the Highway 61 Revisited era Bob Dylan. And she disappears into this role. She is phenomenal. She should have won the Oscar for it that year. Every scene that she's in is amazing. And it's Cate Blanchett. And it's one of her best performances. She is Bob Dylan. Like, which is weird. But it's great. She is fantastic.
I've heard of this movie. I have not seen it, but you've sold me. I want to watch it now. Payson, have you seen this?
So this was going to be my next pick. You're good. No, I think this is a really, really cool movie. I love the experimental way of how they decided to do this biopic. Because, like, you could have made, like, a straight Bob Dylan movie, and it would have been interesting. But the fact of taking different aspects, not only of his life, but of his personality, and just making a film of it, I think is really great. I think Boatman definitely named the two best performances in Christian Bale and Cate Blanchett. But, yeah, it's a really great movie, and I think I know why Boatman is mad, because I have not seen the one that is going to be probably the most obvious admission, so I don't feel comfortable taking it.
Oh,
but,
no.
Yeah, great movie.
Oh no!
We'll talk in a minute. Spence,
I'm curious how Boatman's neck can somehow see with glasses. I have not seen this.
So, what I'm getting to understand here is that I skipped on one that was an obvious choice, apparently. Boatman also skipped on one, which was apparently an obvious choice, and we're worried that Payson hasn't seen it, isn't going to pick it. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, our faith rests in Adelaide Spence at this moment.
Oh, okay. I don't think I'm going to pick it.
I mean,
go ahead.
Oh no, I don't think you've seen this movie either.
Do I go by principle and just pick it because it needs to be on this list?
No.
Okay.
This is on me.
Okay.
Pick one card, do it.
I have two I'm between. I have one that I want to pick, but I think it might be considered cheating. Would you give me... No, it's not Walk Hard. Would you give me 8 Mile?
Tim, you're muted.
Tim, you're muted.
I haven't seen it, so that's up to Boatman.
I also haven't seen 8 Mile. I'm familiar with it. I don't know how accurate it is.
It is essentially Eminem's autobiography, but he doesn't use his real name.
Pick the other one.
Okay, I'm going to pick the other one. We already talked about Chadwick Boseman earlier. I'm going to talk about another Chadwick Boseman movie, and probably, in my opinion, unfortunately, not unfortunately saying this performance is bad, unfortunately that he unfortunately passed away. This is probably my favorite performance by him, and I'm going with Get On Up. Chadwick Boseman is so brilliant as James Brown in this movie. I think the way how this movie starts out as James Brown as a child, you go through his teenage years, you go through his 20s, and then The movie is narrated by, I want to say, like, a 50, 60-year-old James Brown. Is sort of like the tail end of his career. He's, like, horribly overweight and just doesn't give a shit. I think the supporting cast is really underrated. We talked about Viola Davis. They also are in this movie. Craig Robinson, I love. He plays the saxophonist. I think this movie does such a great job at capturing the 60s. I think it does such a great job at capturing the music and the spirit of James Brown, of how he just, like, didn't really care about stuff, but also just wanted to make great music. Yeah, I really, really like this movie.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater and haven't seen it since, but I remember thinking it was good, but didn't love it. But I remember thinking he was fantastic in the movie. So, Boatman, have you seen Get On Up?
I have. I watched it this year, actually. I thought the movie was fine. I thought Boseman was incredible. Should have been nominated that year. I think he is better than a lot of the nominees that did get in. Yeah, I think that this is probably Boseman's best performance. He is phenomenal. It is amazing how Boseman was able to embody so many different figures. Like, to me, Boseman is Jackie Robinson. To me, Boseman is James Brown. I haven't seen Marshall, but I would assume I've heard he's great, Marshall's really right? Good. And those are all like three completely different characters. Which, like, when it comes to like characters, sure, we've seen actors do that before. I don't know the last time someone did that with a real person. They were able to embody three completely different real people. That was something special, and it's a shame Boseman only got one Oscar nomination before he passed.
Spence.
I saw this in theaters as well. I think Boseman's great, although I'm going to disagree with Pace. I think the framing device is a little weird. I think him like narrating his own life like doesn't really work. There's a similar case with Walk the Line where it's like I saw it so long ago and it is just like a very like typical biopic. I don't remember much other than like I think like in the opening scene like there's like kids boxing or something, and that's basically it. Everything else in that movie is out of my head.
Okay. So we're on to Spence for your next pick.
All right. I'm gonna go untraditional, but it technically counts. Because there's not really any singers, it's about two composers. I'm gonna go with Amadeus.
Okay, that's what I thought everyone was freaking out about. Okay,
I thought it was gonna be Ray.
Okay, like, Amadeus is what I was waiting.
Wait, okay. Have you not seen Amadeus?
I have not seen it, but I own it
on DVD, no less. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Because you cannot get the original cut on Blu-ray.
Oh, that's fair.
And you cannot.
The director's cut is better anyway.
It's like, okay, this is a perfect movie. I realized a lot over the past like few months. I think it's come up a lot on like this show, why I was my other shows. I just keep talking about more and more. Like, no, like this is a perfect movie. Hulse and F. Murray Abraham are both giving some of the best performances of the decade and some of the best Oscar, or at least for Abraham, one of the best actor performances of all time. This movie is stacked with some of the, and I actually for a while last when we did like Oscar winners, I stand by. I think, oh fuck me, I'm forgetting. Milos Forman did some of the best directing there ever was because of how much he balanced. The world is so realized, and you can really just find yourself, and you can imagine what like this era. I think it was Italy, like really, or Germany, like the whole fucking Europe. This is just a stacked movie with some of the best movies ever made. I'm going to keep talking in circles, but there's nothing that tops this. To me, this is the best. I didn't think about it. I looked it up. Like, no, this actually works, and I'm happy I picked it.
Yeah, this was what I was assuming we were all freaking out about not getting picked. I've only seen the director's cut. We have talked about it on the show before. Movie's fantastic. I want to watch it again. I watched it, I think, in 2018 or 19, so it's been a while. But it was really great. It's long, but it's worth it. It's worth it. How long is the theatrical cut?
Like
2 hours and 40 minutes.
And the director's is like just over 3 hours, I think. So, I don't know what's different, but I like the director's cut a lot. So, Boatman.
Yeah, I also like the director's cut. This is just a film. I've talked about this film so many times because it's one of my favorite films of all time. It's my favorite film to win Best Picture. It is just a film that is about talent. It is about talent and the people who have it and the people who don't but are able to recognize it. And that's what is so fascinating about it. And I love the reaction to Mozart from the time, in that Salieri knows that Mozart is going to outlast him, but he also revels in the fact that right now Mozart is not a success, and that Salieri is the more successful of the two. And I find that so intriguing. I love the too many notes scene. It just simply has too many notes. Just takes them out. Great. Or when Salieri makes the march for Mozart, and then Mozart, not trying to be a dick about it, just makes it better and completely like shows up Salieri. It's great.
Thanks for talking as I was finishing talking as I was taking a big swig. Payson, you haven't seen it, so.
Yeah, I'll keep it real quick. I haven't seen it. I've heard amazing things. I've heard many people say that this is one of the greatest movies to win Best Picture. I've heard the relationship of Mozart and Salieri. I think you can make fan league parallels. For example, I think the Salieri of the Community is I will not say. Let's move on.
Boo!
Wrong about the Salieri of this community. Yeah. I don't know who it is, but I just think you're wrong.
That's fair.
I don't know what you're talking about. So, moving on. Who has another pick that they want to throw out?
Yeah.
We need two more. Spence, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to cheat because I was just shitting on traditionalist biopics. I'm going to go with one that I don't think y'all have seen. So this is me like basically saying like, hey, if you guys haven't seen, check it out. Best Actress winner, actually, from 2007. I'm going to go with La Vie en Rose. Because I think, again, from the perspective of me shitting on films that have sort of like a very typical structure, I think this one does have that to an extent. But Marion Cotillard gave one of the best performances ever put to film. Genuinely, she's incredible at playing Edith Piaf throughout her entire life, and seeing her as like this frail, shrill old woman still trying to like protect her legacy is heartbreaking. And just on the day like music, she's an incredible singer. Like, and they I don't think that they used Piaf's like actual voice. I think like they went with Cotillard, and she is like just, her voice is gorgeous, and there's so much about this movie that goes well, and I think it's hard to encapsulate the ebbs and flows of Piaf's real life. And Cotillard is the only real person who I think could have accomplished that. And she does it in spades, and I stand by. Like, not only did she deserve to win Best Actress, she's one of the best female performances of the decade, without a question.
Did she win the Oscar?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I've not seen this. I've heard of it. I've seen clips from it on like Oscar things and whatnot. I didn't realize she won. I knew she was nominated. But yeah, I've heard really, really good things. I'll get to it eventually. I like her quite a bit in everything that I've seen her in. So, Bowman.
I have not seen it.
All right. Basin.
Yeah, I haven't seen either.
All right. Well,
That is great.
and who else wants to bring us our last pick?
I think I might be out.
You know what? I've got one.
Okay.
I am going to go with. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with what I think is kind of a underseen movie, but people have heard of it, and I think that people need to watch it if only for the main performance. I am going with Coal Miner's Daughter.
Yeah.
Coal Miner's Daughter is Sissy Spacek playing Loretta Lynn. And the movie itself is very fine. It's not very tropey, actually. It's very, it's actually kind of different. It gets a little slow, but Sissy Spacek is incredible. I still don't think she deserved the Oscar that year, even though she won it. Mary Tyler Moore and Ordinary People who deserved it. But Spacek does all her own singing. And she sounds, if you listen to any recording of the real Loretta Lynn, she sounds exactly like Loretta Lynn. Spacek is fantastic in this film. I think that Spacek really captures this naivete that the character has that just really works. I'm more beginning to see it. I hate country music. I do not like country music. This is a film that makes you like country music. Not like all country music, but able to stand country music for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I've heard of it, and I've heard great things. So, add it to the list. Payson.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I have not seen it. Really want to watch it. I know Tommy Lee Jones plays a guy named Doolittle, so that's pretty funny.
Spence.
Ditto what you two said.
All right. So that's going to do it for our list. Go over to the Letterboxd page. Multiplex logged it. And like that list, as well as check out all the other stuff that we're putting on the page tonight. We're going to move over to our movie of the month and get the opinions of the two panelists who were not here last week, a.k.a. Spence and Payson. So, Spence, we'll start with you. Glengarry Glen Ross, give us your take.
It's good. Who would have guessed? I really liked it. It's a movie that, as a theater nerd, I probably should have seen earlier, and I'm surprised. I think this might be my first David Mamet film. If not, it's my second. I forget the first one, and I was sort of shocked by his writing, for a lot of reasons. Hasn't aged the best, but I think that he just created this really engaging world, and I'm surprised how invested I was in such honestly boring subject matter, because people just being shitty and scamming people on land doesn't sound like my kind of movie, but the dialogue just makes it really enthralling. I put on my actual Letterboxd review, I think Lemon is fantastic. I forgot how much I loved watching him act, and this almost made me just want to do a dive into shit like the China Syndrome so I could watch more of him. Same for Pacino. He's in the movie a lot less than everyone else, but he's still fucking great. I'm not going to be as high on this movie as everyone else is, mainly because, again, I think the writing has aged a bit poorly, as well as I think the Baldwin scene's a little bit overrated, but I think that's just because I heard it as God's gift to mankind before this. But I'm really happy I watched it. It's a very good movie. And, yeah.
What's your star rating?
4 stars.
All right. Payson.
Yeah, the only real thing I knew about this movie was the cast and the Alec Baldwin monologue. And when that monologue happened right at the beginning of the movie, I was like, awesome. This movie is completely just going to be a blind watch the entire time. I don't really know where it's going. I loved this movie so much. This script is so electric and so powerful at just the idea of just all of these workers just trying to find a different way to one-up each other just to stay above the line and not fall below sea level obviously being fired. I think Jack Lemmon is definitely my favorite part. He has such a sadness to him where he wants to do great in so many ways, and he tries talking to Kevin Spacey's John Williamson in order to get there, and he thinks this is it, this is how I do it. Pacino I love as well. It's right before Heat, so it's right before he went extremely over the top. And I think my favorite line of the movie is when Pacino he's having dinner with Jonathan Pryce, and he just says, "Ever taken a dump that feels like you? Have you ever taken a shit that makes you feel like you had a 12-hour sleep?" It's such great lines like that. I think Spacey completely steals. I know it's tough to talk about him as an actor, but I think just that whole final like 20 minutes, I think he steals for me. And just every other actor, from Alan Arkin to Jonathan Pryce to Ed Harris, how like you're so convinced that Ed Harris is the one that robbed the firm that night, is just, I absolutely loved this movie.
And what's your rating?
I would honestly give it 5 stars. It really is an incredible film. I don't quite understand why Koho thinks this is the best Pacino performance, but he is very, very good. All
right. Well, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight for Logged It. I want to thank Spence, even though they were late, and Payson for being on the show. Next week, we've got Hangout Movies. This will be Boatman in the lead hosting chair next week for that. We've got Payson on again for that, as well as Mike. Or no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Is that right?
Yeah, Michael's going to be there.
Or no, I think it was supposed to be Scott, not Payson.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
That's why. Payson's on the following week. I got my Payson.
Yeah.
My
Scott and Dylan's going to be here for
Yes,
Hangout.
so Dylan for Hangout Movies with Michael. And then the following week, I don't know what we're doing, but Payson will be there. And then the following week after that, on the 31st, we've got comic book sequels. So if you're interested in Hangout Movies, we'll need one more, or comic book sequels, please let one of us know. But we'll see you guys next week for Hangout Movies. Be sure to tune into YLS tomorrow night for the continuation of the Top 40 animated series with Boatman. Otherwise, we'll see you guys with trivia stuff later in the week. See ya. Bye.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening.